Rain, rain, rain. Us Brits endure it on 199 days of every year. That's 4 sodden days a week. It just doesn't seem fair. So I've come to the Lake District to find out why the Great British weather is amongst the wettest in Europe. This is the ideal vantage point to understand our weather. We're nearly 1,000 feet up in one of Britain's rainiest regions. Over there is the Irish Sea and beyond the Atlantic Ocean, and that's where all our rain comes from. Incredibly, much of the rain which ruins our summers began life 4,000 miles away in the Atlantic. Air collects moisture from the ocean, which in turn forms weather systems, which bring rain to the UK. Warm, damp air travels thousands of miles across the ocean, and it hits our hills. And as the air is forced up, it cools down, forming clouds. Clouds are born when invisible water vapour in the atmosphere condenses into tiny droplets, which then falls to the earth as rain. And it's this rain that forms these mountain streams, which then feed the glorious lakes. The ancient Greeks had a theory that all of our rivers and lakes were fed by vast underground seas. And when you see all this water, ooh, that's fresh. You can't really blame them. But in truth, every drop of our fresh water comes from the oceans. It's sucked up into the atmosphere, it then forms into clouds and then returns to Earth in the form of rain. Millions upon millions of tons of it. It's a never-ending cycle. And as it invades our shores from the Atlantic, it's the west of Great Britain that bears the brunt. Each one of these tubes shows how much rain falls on a particular square inch in certain parts of Britain in an average year, starting with London. That's 21. This is Glasgow, gets a little bit more, but this is the wettest city in the UK. Guess which one it is? It is, in fact, Swansea, but it's all pretty pathetic compared to the Lake District, which gets a whopping 79 inches a year. Remember, that's per square inch. So if you multiply that by the area of the Lake District, Swansea, Glasgow and London, well, basically, it's a lot of rain. Just a few miles from the sea and made up of high peaks and deep valleys, the Lake District doesn't stand a chance. Well, you're almost guaranteed a soaking in the Lake District. It rains here, on average, 211 days a year. And below the cliffs of Scafell Pike, the highest peak in England, is a little village which has the dubious honour of being Britain's wettest inhabited place. Seathwaite in Cumbria is home to the Pratt family, inhabitants of Raingage Cottage at the edge of the village, probably the wettest house in England. Where and when did you find out that you lived in the wettest part of England?
We've always known, but just like when I was sat in geography the other day, just reading through a textbook when I was bored, and just looking in it and looking at it says the hottest place and it says the wettest place. I was like, that's me!
Did you feel proud?
I felt really proud. I felt so proud of myself.
Why is it here that it's so wet?
The fells sort of draw the clouds down, and then you get the different change in temperature and you get rain, lots of it.
What's the worst period of rain you've ever had?
Probably the floods in 2009, I think.
This is flooding on a scale no one here can remember, few could have imagined.
Everyone in Cumbria remembers the floods of November 2009.
I just remember it being rain for about 48 hours, torrential raining and not ever stopping, seeming relentless.
For 3 days, heavy rain fell on already saturated ground, causing many of the county's rivers to break through flood defences.
We managed to keep it out of the house, just, didn't we? But the road was hugely flooded.
On the 20th of November, Seathwaite alone was pounded by 2.4 inches of rain in just 24 hours, an unwelcome national record.
We're OK as long as we're here. If we're here, we can protect the house, but if we're not, then usually we can't get home.
When the water came last night, it was with such speed, such force, that nothing could stop it.
In Cockermouth, just 30 miles north, water levels in the town reached 2.5 metres.
That is the river at the moment, is the main street, is the river.
As the emergency services struggled to rescue 500 people, PC Bill Barker tragically lost his life when the bridge he was warning motorists not to cross was swept away.
Have you ever seen anything like these floods?
Never.
No.
It was described by the Environment Agency as a once-in-a-thousand-year weather event.
There have been reassurances that the worst of the weather has passed.
But just 4 days ago, half the average rainfall for July fell on parts of Cumbria in only 24 hours, proving yet again that the power of the Great British weather should never be underestimated.